gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. My name is J Love, and welcome to Turning a Moment into a Movement. I come here every Friday along with our guest panel, our guests and panel members to discuss wrongful convictions. The Justice for Gerard movement was birthed when my son Gerard was wrongfully incarcerated for a crime that he didn't do, he had no knowledge of. He was sentenced to 2 to 15 years in prison, innocent, and he's home now. And he suffers from severe Crohn's disease, and he's trying to get his health back in order as he navigates being back home for prison for a crime he didn't do. I also, if you want to know more about his story, just go to change.org, www.justiceforgerard, and you can hear more about Gerard's story. But because of Gerard, it inspired me to do this, turning a moment into a movement. Myself and my panel, we come on and we talk about wrongful convictions, anything that has to do with injustice. That's what we talk about here every Friday. And we're working on, moving forward to, as we educate, as we advocate, we organize. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to bring in our guests. Well, not our guests, but our panel first before I bring in our guests. Introduce them. They'll let you know what it is that they do. So let's start with Reverend Tia. Hey.
Well, hello there. Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today. And of course, my name is Tia Littlejohn, Reverend Tia. And I am right now and always centered on being who God has created me to be. And I bring that with me wherever I go. I'm a minister over at Transforming Love Community, where Reverend Shahira is our pastor. And transformation is the key to everything.
Yes.
Everything. And so when you talk about wrongful convictions, when you talk about the current system that we have in place, and I believe right now that this system is the way it is because we have allowed people to dictate who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do we listen to it, but we have allowed many of our children to suffer because of it, because we didn't take a stand. And even those who did take a stand many times still suffered the consequences of doing so. So we know now that reform is necessary. Transformation is necessary. We can no longer stand by and allow injustice to occur. So I'm excited to be here. I currently, I am with a couple of task force on social justice. I am also helping with Flint, with Bishop Bernadette Jefferson and her council when it comes to the water. I am also working on my doctorate, and before I go on sabbatical at some point to finish up, but that's not going to be soon. And I have been over 20 years in mental health with behavioral health in many different facets, and former director of Empowered Living Human Services for for 15 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I am happy to be here,
I'm
happy
happy
to
you're
bring
here.
some expertise. Yeah, and hopefully, not hopefully, I'm knowing that change is now.
Yes, absolutely, Reverend T.
Yeah.
So let's break on. Hi,
Hi,
Attorney
Attorney
Hugo
Hugo
Mack.
Mack.
How are you?
Sounds like
Sounds
you
like
got
you got
something
something
on.
on.
Uh, uh, can you hear me?
I can
I
hear
can
you
hear
and
you and
something
something
else.
else.
I don't know what that amazing. What is some kind of feedback or something?
But go
But
ahead
go
and
ahead and
tell us
tell
who
us
you
who you
are
are
and
and
what
No,
you.
I can't understand that. I test the system, and I apologize. You know, if you'll allow me, let me just do it through my smartphone instead of my laptop. Is that possible? Okay, thank you. All right.
Hi, Trisha. Trisha, turn your mic on.
Good, my mic wasn't on. How are you ladies doing this evening?
We're good.
That's good. Well, my name is Trisha Duckworth. I'm the executive director and founder of Survivor Speak. Social worker by profession, but the field is kind of getting on my nerves right now. So you know what I'm saying. But I am a social worker as well. And I'm happy to be here, not necessarily happy about the topic, right, that we're talking about, because I'm just tired of it. I don't know if anybody else is tired. I'm tired. We see injustice everywhere. And once you remove your rose-colored glasses, you just see it. You see the dynamics, you see the structures, you see how they're put together. And it's very disheartening. However, there's always hope, because we believe that the tide is turning, that there's a shift that is taking place, and that people are awakening. See, that's the hope, because when we come together and when we get sick enough, we will keep standing for change. And you get your blows and you get knocked down, but you get yourself back up and you keep on fighting. This is not going to change unless we continue the fight. This is not going to change unless we stand together as one, right? And really, and not just Black, not just white, all of us standing together as one, uplifting what we know has been happening to our people. So I'm so grateful again to be here with you ladies. Jay, again, we thank you so much for even just starting this platform, because it's necessary to continue this conversation and to keep the conversation going. Because if we don't keep the conversation going, it'll die down, and then it'll be like that. Just that what do they call it? A phase or a trend. This ain't no trend. This ain't no moment. This is a movement. And we ask no. We don't ask you. We demand you to get up off your seat of do nothing and get busy. We can't do it by ourselves. The only thing that's missing from this fight is you. And we're here and ready to embrace you all with open arms, and so we can fight this fight together.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Trisha. I see. Hey, Allie. Your mic is muted.
Oh man. Hey, how y'all doing?
Hi, how are you?
Doing good, doing good. Glad to be here.
Let everybody know what it is that you do, Allie.
Yes, my name is Alexandria. I work in the mental health field. I'm a community activist in the metro area, also with Representative Kyra Bowden's Advisory Council. And I'm really glad to be continuing this movement, keeping up, keeping it in people's ears, keeping it out there, because it has to keep going. So glad to be here.
I'm glad you guys saying that, because I was thinking about that early. Like, we have to keep people engaged. We don't want people to go back to sleep. We got to stay engaged, and we got to keep these stories going, and we got to keep having these conversations until we all pour out into the streets and demand change. So I see Attorney Hugo Mack is back.
Yes, yes. It, well, Jay Love, you asked, what do people do? Well, I tell you what I do. I perpetually battle technology. Which seems determined, to thwart me at every moment. But like Trichet said, we're not going to let this die down. And if I got to use a tin can and a string, I'm gonna be on this broadcast. Okay, I'm gonna be on
Yeah.
this broadcast. So I know you can hear me now, but I'm gonna follow that up
Yes.
with the famous phrase, "How you like me now?" Okay, so so here we are. Who I am, Hugo Mack, attorney at law, brought back from hell to be here today, uh, to be able to stand up as a voice for the voiceless, as a face for the faceless. I attribute everything that's happened good in my life unashamedly through my relationship with God and Jesus Christ, you see. And what's happened with me is no different than what's happened to people throughout history. I understand what it's like to pay a debt that is not owed, but rather than just coming back and living my life and say, well, that was then, this is now, I've got other people that were left back in the penitentiary that are counting on my help. And and for all the people out there listening who may be naysayers that, well, they up in there because they did it, and ain't nobody's fault but their own. Say that till it's somebody in your family. Okay, say that until it's them, because the reality of it is there is no perfect system, and the criminal justice system in the United States, especially when it comes to Black people, is far from perfect. Far from perfect. And when you say, well, weren't they convicted beyond a reasonable doubt? Beyond a reasonable doubt is whatever you think it is. And too many times in my career as an attorney, I find jurors get back there and it's like they're having a retaping of the Oprah show. Okay, somebody's got an opinion, they think this, they read this, and the next thing you know, it's a group thing. Well, yeah, if y'all say he's guilty, I don't know if he really is or not, but all y'all can't be wrong. So let me just go on and do that. So my purpose, one of the things I believe God brought me back from hell and restored my law license, is to continue to be on that battlefield and continue to confront these judges and these prosecutors and these police officers. Newsflash for the people who don't know. Those people are very, very cliquish. All right. And I think we've made progress in Washtenaw County, not as much as I'd like to see, but Washtenaw County is kind of like an outlier. I just came from a hearing in Monroe County today. Police, prosecutor, judge. It's like they go to the same social club, hang out, And so me being in that environment, I feel like a raisin, a bowl of milk. So for me, it's one of those things where I'm always going to continue to fight to the best of my ability. The 75 women, disadvantaged women that are on my caseload now, largely pro bono, I'm proud to be there with them. Those are largely women of color. My late mother is a woman of color, a Black woman. There are outstanding Black women on this broadcast right now. So anyway, so that's who I am, doing the best I can to fight the good fight every day for justice and hold police, prosecutors, and judges accountable. So that's where I am. And hmaclaw.com is J Love always likes to say, if you need to reach me.
Yes. www.hmatlaw.com. Attorney Hugo.
That's your hookup.
Yes.
That's your hookup.
That's your hookup. Get in contact with Attorney Hugo Mack. Right. Thank you, Attorney Hugo Mack. Now we're going to bring on our guests. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
You're not a guest. You're like part of the family now.
And it feels good. It feels good.
So, for those who never heard of you, introduce yourself and tell everyone what it is that you do.
I'm Abdul Hakeem. Most people know me as Roberto. I'm an activist in the Detroit area. I'm a lifelong Detroiter, and I work in the legal profession as a paralegal. I do primarily civil appeals, and I do some criminal appeals on my own time. If the case is enough to stir me to action, and I get involved, and I enjoy what I'm doing. I get rewards other than financial rewards. Academic and experience also counts. and I love the work I do. Like one of the things Trisha said when she pumped up the tonight's event is that we do take some knocks, but we get back up, dust our knees off, and we keep running. So you lose some and you win some, but it never losing doesn't make me give up. I just learn from you learn when you lose and you win. But I that's my background, and I enjoy what I'm doing.
Thank you. So I'm glad that you're here because we have a topic as we every day hear about some kind of corruption and injustice going on within our police departments. Our topic is police behavior matters. And we want to, really get into that. When we look at stuff like this, we have the people who are supposed to be checking out and making sure other police do what they're supposed to be doing, who's in charge of that, are also corrupt themselves. So when we talk about accountability and behavior, what is it that how do we measure this within our, communities of policing? Anybody?
Well, we need good leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I had mixed feelings when we had Chief Craig. I thought he started off in terms of accountability with the ethics unit, the internal affairs unit. He was getting rid of some bad officers, but there were some other things he was doing that caused me concern. But with this new police chief, I don't know much about him, but the stories recently in the news about the internal affairs officer himself being involved in some shady conduct, it sounds like we're going back instead of forward to the days where, the public trust is being eroded again. And it's very damaging when you have an internal affairs chief. His name is coming up in his name has come up, and when the fox watching the hen house, when the fox is dirty, the whole house falls. And so I hope they this new chief takes this by the horns and clean up. And what I mean by clean up, you know what? Get rid of the bad officers in internal affairs also.
Right. But how can the pot call the kettle black?
You're right. Yeah.
Well,
How can somebody come in and just fall in line or in suit with what's going on? When is somebody going to come in and say, hey, I know it's a problem. Everybody knows it's a problem. It doesn't take rocket science, right? The new guy, he knows it's a problem. Who's going to stand and usher in that level of accountability that we all need to see? And I say it's us, right? We cannot wait for them to do their jobs. Clearly, they will not do that. But if we keep applying pressure from the outside and they get it on the inside, then maybe we can see and get some work done. But other than that, it's just going to be that distrust that my brother was talking about. I don't even see it as that we don't trust again. We've never trusted, right? I mean, we know what you stand for. You were slave catchers, and then you morphed into so many other things and corruption and misconduct. But who's going to take a stand against it is the question.
It needs to be it need to be independent civilian oversight. That's the only way. Corruption, we keep seeing different things happen and tampering with evidence and misconduct and just so many different things. It needs to be the people there. And this is not a new phenomenon. I mean, there's been forms of oversight since the 90s. You can look all the way back to then. There's national organizations working on civilian oversight projects around the country. It's just places. For me, I feel like Michigan is a little slow to taking bold action. I do. And being that we are a swing state, I understand why that is, but I need us to catch up. Colorado is doing some great things. Minneapolis is doing some great things. There's so many places that's being creative. I'm seeing people give out vouchers instead of tickets for having your head light out with faulty equipment, like vouchers to go get it fixed. People are taking action to like help people instead of, just incarcerate and fine people more that can't even afford it. Yeah, it's time for independent oversight. And it's time to accept the fact that they can't do it all. You can't be the solution and the problem. Where do you see that work anywhere? That's never worked. So it's not going to start now.
Yes. And I like that, giving out vouchers. If a person can't afford to get their headlight fixed, you think they can afford the ticket? So the ticket creates the spiral effect of going through the criminal justice system, because now you got a ticket and now you can't pay that ticket. So then you in for, your license. It just keeps going. So yeah, I really dig that idea with giving people vouchers and stuff like that. That's pretty cool.
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna say too that, I'm sorry, Attorney Mac.
oh no, it's okay.
That the thing about it is that, like Ali said, we're behind. And we're behind because we're choosing to be behind. I'm not going to give them an excuse anymore that they're behind because they're just unfortunate. No, we're behind because you're choosing to be behind. It's a choice. It's a choice. They don't get an excuse. They can't say they didn't know. There's been studies, all kinds of reconciliation tactics. And the thing about it is that in the city, or in most cities, in many cities, they criminalize a tail light being out. How is that criminal? How is that criminal? And so then they get upset when we say we need to reform or we need to abolish it and start all over again. But the fact is, every time we want to just do a little bit, but we just want to just put a Band-Aid on it. We want to put a Band-Aid on a virus. That's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting a Band-Aid on something that they're bleeding. We're bleeding uncontrollably, and we're putting a Band-Aid on it. We need surgery, but we're putting a Band-Aid on it. We actually need a whole nother leg, a whole new leg, but we're going to put a Band-Aid on it. I'm tired of the Band-Aids, okay? Yeah. So what needs to happen is that we need to redo the whole system, because you're promoting people and putting people in place, and the same thing keeps going on. Then you wonder, well, how is this person corrupt? Because the whole thing is corrupt.
Right. And I wanted to add this also. They've got an election coming up next week in Detroit, okay, for mayor and city council. Now, all the predictions, which I happen to believe, by the way, show it's going to be extremely low turnout. Maybe 15%. Okay. Now, the thing of it is that I think, particularly as Black people, we need to understand, and brown, indigenous peoples also, all right, are the things that we allow to happen, Now, I understand about the measures to make voting harder and the systemic racism, throughout the system. I understand that. But I do know this. Dr. King, when they organized the Montgomery bus boycott, they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have any of those things. But what they had was an overwhelming desire to win. And what I'm saying is, all of this starts, or a lot of it starts, with the people that you allow to get elected into office. Now, of the two people that are running, the mayor and Mr. Adams, I'm not sure. Well, first of all, they've never debated. But I'm not sure I've heard anybody address comprehensively the exact things we're talking about. Maybe they have. I put it this way: Mike Duggan, I didn't hear it. So what I'm saying is, Duggan is the one who installed the chief of police. All right, the chief of police is Duggan's man or woman. Okay, so what I'm saying is, when we in the African American and the indigenous brown folks community, when we just go by default, we make excuses for not voting, all right? Because there was a time in this country where people would rather die than not be able to vote, Okay. And the bottom line is, and I think I just have to be honest about my own community. We've gotten lazy. We've gotten complacent. We have. And politicians know that. So they don't have to cater to us because we don't make them cater to us. You see what I'm saying? We don't make them cater to us. And if we don't make them cater to us, you're going to have a mayor elected. He's going to be dealing with these other people, other issues that put money in their pocket or they campaign or, push their issues. But yes, where are we? Where are we? Somewhere in the back. It's one thing to be in the back. It's another thing to be in the back and in the shadows. You can't even see us. You can't even see us. So what I'm saying is, and I've been criticized for this, but I think in our own community, we've got to start having respect for ourselves, respect for our women, respect for our neighborhoods, and not let people come in, police, and ride roughshod over us. But we cannot allow that negative, that vile, that woman abusing, drug selling, breaking into people's house culture to go on simply because the perpetrator is our skin color. Okay, we simply cannot allow that to happen. And I don't agree with everything that the Fruit of Islam has always done, but I do agree with this. You take control of your neighborhood, and if you've got a negative element in that neighborhood that's causing death and destruction to your people, that element is addressed and eliminated. Okay, that element is addressed and eliminated. So watch these elections, folks. Watch them because they've got consequences beyond what people could ever even think or realize.
Oh, I need to jump in on that, Jay, real quick. I'm sorry. Because I totally respect you, my brother, my good brother, right? But when I look at all of this, to me, it's two-pronged, right? Because you've got disenfranchised Blacks and you have the Black elite. When I think about the Black elite, yeah, very comfortable, right? Because most of them have secured their own seats and they're good. But when I think about the disenfranchised community, I tell people, and I often say this all the time, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, oh, I'm just going to go rob somebody today. Oh, I just want to go and do this today. These are the measures, of our community. These are how systemic measures due to poverty have forced us in these type of situations. Now, what you're saying is, because there's always hope, we can clean ourselves up. I just like to come from more of less of a victim blaming, because even in our disenfranchised, impoverished communities, I look at them somewhat as victims or survivors, because we build resilience where we are because we're a resilient people. And if you think that the foot of somebody is on your neck, you're just going to stay there. And we've just got to come in and let the people know that you're unstoppable. You can do what you want to do. It has to be an uplifting. It has to be an empowerment, but it has to come from the proper place, because not only have racist individuals failed our people, some of us have failed our people as well, because we had the knowledge and we did not turn around and give that to those of us that do not. And there are people that they just don't have the knowledge. Isn't it an excuse? No. I like to call it dynamics behind how we are like we are, but we don't have to stay that way, is what you're saying. We don't have to stay that way, but we've got to figure out a way to come in with an approach that doesn't accuse people who have already been downtrodden and blamed for who they are.
I think another thing too is to think about is, when you are disenfranchised in a vulnerable state, because you're forced to try to make do with what you got. You've been given this environment. You didn't choose it. You've been given it because of how America is set up. Now, because of being given that environment, you may not be as anxious to go vote because you're thinking about what you have to do to get by each day. Then there's voter suppression happening, that too. And part of it, once we are able to get through to each other about why voting is important, then we can start to talk about how voting really means, like we're voting to change lives. Our lives are on the ballot. If voter suppression has happened, you're being attacked. Your rights are being attacked and you're being attacked. We can start to look at it like that once people are past trying to survive. And that's fine, to be on that survival mode. Because that, the world has just given us these circumstances or given certain people those circumstances. But we have to work together to get past just surviving and get to wanting to live.
Reverend Tia, you look like.
Well, yeah, I like that, to get to where we want to live. Because right now, the truth of the matter is many people are living afraid. And living afraid is not living at all. It's almost people are in a state of paralysis right now. And being in a state of paralysis, how do I make a decision in this state? How do I get to a state of being free in my mind? Because people aren't just free when they go to prison. Mentally, people are not free, right? And they're not even in prison. They're in bondage to a system. They're in bondage to a way of life. And so they don't feel any type of freedom, and especially if you have somebody who is wrongfully convicted and they're serving time. So, yeah, there's many layers that we have to realize. First of all, acknowledge that they exist and work together as a community. How do we do that? Reaching out. Reach out, just very simple. And because we're on this platform to educate, a lot of times people are waiting for somebody else to do it. And then it doesn't get done. You can reach out where you are. And many people know somebody who has somebody who is serving time and they're not supposed to be there. And then what are you going to do? No one is coming to save us. Trisha said we got to save ourselves. And then we have someone online who said right now we're working with the lesser of two evils when we go to vote. And voting that way, she said, it's not working anymore. Who said that?
Charity, I think.
Charity did. Mm-hmm.
Abdul?
I think in addition to, being a lifelong Detroiter, and I live in the city, I love the city, I love the people I live with. I agree with everything that the speakers have said. And in addition to being disenfranchised, which I see it and I feel it, I don't think people wake up deciding to be poor. It's a curse at birth for the African American community. It is. The opportunities are very few. The oppression is real. The other thing I think is that divide and conquer has won. There's so much hate, unnecessary hate. But you would be surprised what collective efforts can do to make the community stronger. If we just embrace each other and help one another, lift a brother up instead of kicking him down.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the days when you would see an old woman carrying all of her groceries and young men would just instinctively, hey, can I help you take your groceries home? You don't see that no more. Or getting up for a senior citizen or disabled person on the bus. It shocks me. It is. So a lot of this, it's gone. It's gone. So what I'm saying is we just need to embrace each other more, and we could overcome a lot of obstacles by help pulling each other up instead of kicking each other down. And that's not to be picking or being demeaning. I see it and I live it. And I don't know, I guess I should do more instead of just talking about it. I was thinking as you all were talking, what can I do to change it? What can we all do to change it?
Right.
But change is good. There's a lot we can do collectively because we can't wait on our oppressors to come in and save us. That's true.
Right. Change starts with us.
It does.
Each person had to make a decision that they want to do something different, that they want something different. It starts with you first, and then it spreads out, so we have to take responsibility for change. Instead, like Trisha said, waiting for somebody to come to save you. Nobody's coming.
No.
Yeah,
Nobody is coming. We're
it
gonna
could be
be
talking to neighbors, man. Like I've had, you know, here in Southfield, I remember going to the gym one time, and the guy at the front desk was saying he was reading something about Detroit news and saw my name, and then started telling me how he was previously incarcerated. And I had no idea. He's just was the nicest guy that just is always there. And we always just have this small talk. And then he just started saying how we do need resources, how it was hard when he got out of jail, just finding a job, getting back to life as normal, and how he had so much pressure on him because he is a Black man, and he's supposed to provide. Like that's how he was thinking, because that's the standard set that the male was supposed to provide. So he was just saying how tough that was, and just talking to me. And right there, I built a connection with a stranger. Like it's just talking to each other and trying to get each other familiar with issues, and how you all are connected between each other, like how we're all connected, how all these issues really affect all of us.
Mhm.
It's really about just community building and conversation.
right. We
And a
can't.
lot of it has to do with economic racism. And what I mean by that, if we all grew up in the day when Detroit was industrially strong, right? It was a union strong city. The union was born here in Michigan. My stepfather, who was African American, was the UAW union member. He worked for the Chrysler plant in Detroit. It's been systemic in a sense that with the union busting, who were comprised predominantly of African Americans back in the 70s and 80s. So we had a strong economic base. Everybody had jobs. You could walk into a plant and you got a job that day or within the next day. Those days are gone, right? Those jobs are not coming back. So it's now it's all these high tech jobs. But the point I'm making is it's also economic racism. And that's part of the disenfranchising. When the union base was weakened and they started busting these unions here in Detroit, I'm talking about mostly, and they started, when they signed that NAFTA agreement, and all those factory jobs went where? Overseas to Canada and Mexico. Who were impacted? African American factory workers.
Yeah.
Detroit's unemployment, what happened? No surprise, went sky high. And it's been steadily higher than the national level for decades. I think the unemployment is now at 33%, while the national average is 8%. So what does that tell you about a city that is 80% African American and has been that way for decades also? It has, whether intentional or not, it's been a systemic attack on us economically, judicially, every institution.
You're right. You're right. I even like cities like Flint, they had the GM plants and different plants there, and when those plants left, what came? Poverty and crime. High crime. So we have to look at these things. We can't be so quick to take on the oppressor's mindset of how we need to work out solutions to our problems. We have to get to the root also to these issues, because if we don't get to the root, we're going to continue to have these problems. And if we can't fix ourselves, then we can't get these other institutions together, because we aren't together. So when we're talking about police behavior and how it affects their behavior matters, we look at all the wrongful convictions and all the exonerees that are coming home. And then a lot of them have one thing in common. A lot of them were either corrupt police, corruption within the prosecutor office, jailhouse snitches. And so we look at things like this, 85 complaints. I mean, we ain't even talking about stuff that happened long ago. We're just talking about stuff was happened within these few months. Police officers riding a stolen car, ex-police officer who was retired linked to wrongful convictions, troubled police officer, police knocking people out. And we look at what's going on with our wrongful conviction community. There it is right there. Those behaviors create wrongful arrest. Wrongful arrest leads to wrongful incarceration. So when we're talking about, leadership and accountability, and even in our own community, these kind of things breaks the trust with these institutions. So, Attorney Hugo Mack, go ahead.
Well, and the thing of it is, I want to clarify something here. Every day, and I thank God for the opportunity that I'm in court, my job is to see that the system, which is already slanted against brown, black, indigenous peoples, is not even more so pronounced and slanted, okay? So it's like trying to keep the enemies from breaching a wall, you know what I'm saying? Almost like an Alamo, okay? And so that's one of my jobs. But another one of my jobs, being involved in the community, is strengthening the community and people who look like me. And the way we do that is we go back and we try to make our community better with self-respect. Young black girls respecting themselves. They're not there for the amusement of men just to get affection. So, there's a lot of harm that's been done systemically through racism, systemic racism, to the black community. And there's a pathology we have to overcome. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is it's a twofold, I think, mission, if you will, or ministry from me, being in the courtroom, trying to protect the people largely from my community, from systemic racism, but also trying to encourage and be an example in my own humble way for people in my community to respect yourself. Love and respect yourself first, and who you are, and be prideful of who you are, and take pride in your community, and don't be what other people say you are. I heard a televangelist by the name of Kenneth Copeland say one time, when you holler poor boy, I ain't coming. Okay, so he's not answering to anything but what he wants to be called. You see what I'm saying? So that's my little battlefield area that I'm trying to work in.
Okay. Trisha.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I get that's just the social worker in me too. I'm always looking past the surface, right? And when you mentioned even about the young girls doing some of the things that they do, I think about where are their fathers. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's impressing or not impressing these young minds and these young women so that they know who they are. That's the key right there, brother, is knowing who we are. We don't know who we are. We've had our history just stripped from us. That's and right. If we were to learn who we really were, let me tell you something. I did an ancestry DNA. Now, first of all, I was mad as hell because I had 13,800 matches. And so I got real mad because I said the slave master was real busy around there in those parts, But after that, I started to look at bits and pieces of where my family came from. And one of it was like 1750. And it talked about how we would use hymns and singing spirituals so that we could get our ways to freedom. And I equated it to BLM 1750, baby. Now here I am, BLM 2021, right? And so, I became more emboldened and I could take more pride in the work that we're doing because I said, I'm standing on the shoulders of my ancestors who fought this fight long before I even ever got here. And we're still fighting, and that's horrible, right? That we're still fighting, but we got to do what we got to do. Just that small thing in knowing that piece of my history, my DNA, it emboldened me and it gave me so much power. And I would just love it. I'm always thinking about call an Ancestry DNA and see if they'll partner with us and give the Black community test so that we can see where we've come from, right? Because it would just empower people to know. That would be a great start. We acting like this because we don't know our true virtue. We don't know our true value. And like you said, we're living at what somebody else thinks of us and has tried to label us with, and we're so much greater than that. And I long for the day that we can teach history. I'm so tired of this critical race theory crap, you know, because it is just getting on my nerves. They think, oh, we don't want to hurt the little white children. But you thinking it about, it's not just about that. It's about learning our history, learning our legacy. And we wasn't slaves first. Let me just say that. We weren't slaves first. We got a whole history before we even ever came to, excuse me, not came, because we didn't, what, you know, we was forced here. Before we were forced into this country, we had a huge history. That's what I want to know. I want to know what I'm 29% Nigerian. My sister joked and said, oh, that's why your hair is so nappy. But I'm 29% Nigerian. I'm 20% Cameroon, and Congo and Western Bantu family, right? Like knowing all of that is something that is going to be important to us and give us what we need to, and the power that we need to move forward as one. That'll stop all this backbiting and all of the things that we do, you know, as a people that they've done to us in slavery and turned us against each other. If we know the rich history that we have of togetherness, maybe we can get back to that.
That's right. Amen. That's right. That's right.
Amen.
You know,
I was gonna say,
let me say this one thing, Allie. What you saying that you said just triggered me, because when I was going through everything with Gerard, I was also, we was in the pandemic, and my family was doing online family get-togethers. And we were tracing our family heritage. And so, you know, we all figured out that we came from where we came from, and I just took that, you know, and said, okay, if my great-great-grandfather, you know, Booker T. Peoples, that was his name, if he could survive slavery and all the things that he went through, I can, you know, call on these ancestors every night, get strength, direct them to protect Gerard. You know, that was just how I just, that was my mindset as I was going. You know, I was praying, I was calling on the ancestors, I was burning, I was utilizing all of those traditions, and also understanding my history empowered me more to understand that my kid don't deserve to be here. He didn't do anything, and I'm going to keep on talking about it, whether people agree with me or not, whether people understand how wrongful convictions happen, whether people understand that you can be a person that a wrongful conviction can happen to, because it happens to anybody. There is no criteria. You know, we kind of single mind our thoughts and think, well, they young, black males hanging out, pants sagging, hoodie. No. Anybody can be a victim of a wrongful conviction. Those things don't, yes, we can look at those things, but that's not it. You could just be walking down the street like my son was, going to the store, and next thing you know, somebody's accusing you for something and you're in prison. Like Devontae Sanford, 14 years old, ends up in prison, innocent. So we have to empower ourselves, and you are right about understanding who you are, because that right there gives you so much strength. It gives you a foundation once you know who you are, and you can't like go back to sleep to this foolishness anymore. You know, you're like woke, and you just like beyond all this crazy stuff. You know, okay, go ahead, Allie. I'm sorry.
No, I feel you. I feel all of that because I'm right here with you. Like, that's why it's so much power in reading and researching. And I cannot advocate enough for research. I feel like me doing the research that I've done is how I've come to be the person that I am today. And when I think about knowing who you are as a person and knowing your culture, you know, I think about the rich qualities and the, you know, the power in that. What stereotypes we're born out of, that was taken out of looking at our culture and things that we do as Black people or any other culture. Like there's stereotypes in each for each racial and ethnic group. That was born out of looking at their culture and trying to flip it into something and make it ugly. When you think about concepts of time, you know, that's associated with culture. There's something called a European concept of time. There's research shown that says, you know, it's looked at as more linear for European culture, and it's looked at in terms of building connections and kinship when it comes to Black culture and, you know, different parts of Africa. It's not the same. It's about kinship. So knowing where you come from is so important, because you can't, like, that's not going away once you know. Once you know, it sticks with you forever. And you know why you operate the way you do in this country once you know where that comes from.
Right. And once you know where you come from, you're not going to just sit silent and accept, you know, crap, because you know you're deserving of better. And when people, you know, when we have these conversations about reform and other we abolition, and you know, when we have these conversations and people are looking at us like, great, no, because we know that we deserve better, you know, and we're not going to just sit here and just keep taking, you know, this racism and biases and all this stuff that, you know, you guys, where they come to work with and, you know, run these institutions that's still oppressing people in 2021.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the thing about it is we don't accept it because we've learned to change the narrative.
Yes.
And we change the narrative for ourselves first. You have to change the narrative that you bought into. And sometimes individually and then collectively, you have to look at what did we say yes to? What did we buy into? And then stop it. Stop that thought. You know, and we can tell where your priorities are based upon where your money goes. So don't get it twisted. When it takes self-reflection. Is what is coming out of my mouth, does that line up? Is that in alignment to my lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
You know, am I lying? Is life important? Are other people important? If you have a company and you're saying out of your mouth, if you are an official and you say out of your mouth, people are important. I love the community. I'm here for the community. I'm here to serve. But your actions dictate otherwise. You have lied. Not told a tale, because my grandmother wouldn't allow us to say that lie word. But you have lied. And it's time for us to wake up and stop giving people an excuse for these erroneous habits. It's a habitual way of being and thinking. And even if they don't know it's wrong, it's wrong. And some of them actually do know it's wrong. But we got to stop making excuses. But first, be responsible and accountable for yourself. Change the narrative. We don't have to buy into, look, I'm Little John from birth, Blackfoot. My great-grandmother was Blackfoot. And my grandfather, they originally came out of northern Ethiopia, present-day Eritrea. Go back. When you know the root, go back. Get the real story. And stop accepting the stories that people have told you.
Mm-hmm. Abdul?
I'm enjoying this, and I have to give you a little bit of my history. My father is from Puerto Rico, and my mother, she was a coal miner's daughter from West Virginia. And my father in Puerto Rico, I learned later in life, the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, all have West African influence, and the vibe, it just feels so good, and it feels good for me to know I have a part of that history on my father's side. I give my father more credit than my mother. No offense to my mother because she was a white woman, but I have been able to identify the struggle of the African American community, and I'm proud to say I do have that background from my father on my father's side in Puerto Rico. Um, and so I just love the vibe that we're having here, and it just being able to identify with the struggles, with the progress, and share ideas of how we can overcome. We shall overcome one day, right? And how we can overcome again collectively, just embracing each other and lifting each other up, doing things for each other. We can be strong.
Yes.
There's power in
Yes.
numbers.
Yes.
There's power, and that the things that make us different make us all important.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It makes us all important because this little earth is home for all of us. We have no choice in that.
And it makes us all one.
It makes us all one. Everybody, you know. I mean, I caught it. Let me tell you something. We moved to Detroit right after the rebellion in '67. And again, if you can imagine back then when the police force was predominantly white, a white woman living with a black man and three little white boys that we were considered at that time, we caught hell from the community and the police department. They beat my parents one time at a road stop, put him in the hospital. We were harassed constantly by the police, but not just the police. We were resented also by the community because back then it wasn't common to see mixed marriages. But as I grew older, I realized people are not born racist. So I didn't even hate the African American community for the experience I was put through. I didn't. And miraculously, I didn't grow to hate all police. But what I do hate is police brutality. And from that experience, I carried it with me for the rest of my life. And I think that made me be more tolerant of others and to just reach out. And we are a community. We can't have borders, invisible borders either. We got to come together. And in this wrongful conviction movement, it is even more important. And let me say something about the exonerees that I really like, what I see them doing. They hit the ground running, they rolled their sleeves up. They have been investing in the community. They defeated the naysayers who thought, oh, they'll commit a crime again. Well, they didn't commit the crime that they went to prison for in the first place. Hello.
Mhm.
But when you look at what they've done in the short time that they've been out here, it's admirable. It's so complimentary. And I don't think that they get enough praise for that, not even from me. But
Yes.
it's good. It's good to see that they are doing they're doing a lot of community outreach, a lot of resettlement efforts for parolees, buying up these homes. And their intentions are good, and it's admirable. It really is.
Yes. Because again, we can't wait on, we've been waiting for somebody to save you. You're going to be waiting.
Yes, you're going to be waiting.
and we can't keep on giving accolades to people that's not doing their job. So, I love that the
No,
exonerees are doing what they're doing. But Shawana says something, and I had to make a banner for this. At the rally, she said, the person who holds you captured cannot be your hero. So
no.
we have to, I am so glad that they're doing what they're doing because sometimes we can get confused by, people coming home and thinking that things have changed, but there's still people going in under the same, thing, there's still the same system. It's still, for all of those that's coming out, they're pushing the same number right back in under the same thing. And so what we that's why we're here, because we want to educate everybody so much about how important it is to change this system, how we cannot keep sitting back, not voting or waiting for somebody else to do it. We had to activate the change. And it takes us knowing who we are and empowering ourselves and knowing our history and all of that to make us a stronger group of activists and advocates for change. That has to be our foundation.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And can I say this one thing, J Love?
Go ahead.
The problem is actually getting worse and not better, okay? Because what we're seeing now, particularly with this last presidency, is the reemergence of that white systemic nativism is really what it is. In other words, we're the real natives of this country. These other people are others. They're foreigners. They're mud people. They're swamp people. You know, whatever. And see, so what's happening now is, for example, you know, in the state of Michigan, the Democrats control neither the House nor the Senate. All right. So what I'm saying is, with making it harder to vote, with redistricting in certain states, it's getting harder to even elect proper representatives to, in fact, try to initiate change on a legislative level. That's not only on a federal level, but it's on a state level, you know. And so when I say it's getting harder, because when we have individuals who get driven because of nativism, they're going to work hard to elect people who are going to perpetuate that nativism to keep them safe. Well, in large measure, those people are xenophobes, those people are sexist, those people are racist, okay? And so when those folks get elected, because we don't have a tidal wave to overcome that, then those are the people that are going to be writing the laws that are going to make it increasingly harder and harder and harder to get justice. But not only that, in terms of a legislative effect, in terms of judges, okay? Now, the reason that we have some people that are being exonerated, you know, they're getting a rehearing or a resentencing, what have you, okay? And judges make determinations that this person has gotten done wrong. There was a man by the name of Reuben Hurricane Carter, all right, who went through tremendous hardship, paying a debt he never owed. But it was a federal judge who, in fact, set him free. And what I'm saying is, when you've got someone, and I don't even want to say his name, the former president of the United States, and you've got a Senate that is willing to confirm judges that he appoints, you're putting people in positions when a Hugo Mack or a you know, Gerard or somebody comes in front of them with a habeas corpus saying, "Oh, hell no," not just no, hell no, okay, because that's their politic. That's where they come from, okay? They're kowtowing to their boss, okay? So when I say it's getting worse, it is getting worse, but we've got to fight that much harder, I guess, okay? And now, just like I see what's going on in Congress now is not the time for us to be asleep. Now is the time to be on our congressmen's behinds ever more, okay? And don't let this stuff go on autopilot, you know? A plane on autopilot ultimately has one destination, the ground, okay? So what I'm telling you is that that's what I see, you know? And so I guess I'm saying I'm so encouraged by all of you. You know, I love all of you because you help re-energize me to get up. And it takes something to confront some of these judges. These judges view these courtrooms as their own property. You come in there, you know, you gotta be mindful of them. They'll slap you with contempt. And a lot of lawyers just don't have the courage to stand up and do that. Not that I'm so courageous, but having been to hell and back and being redeemed by Jesus Christ, hell doesn't scare me as much now as it did before.
Oh, Tia, Reverend Tia.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we got to be conscious too of the fact that what's behind and what regulates much of everything is the money.
Mhm.
It is the economic factors and the lobbyists, and that these big corporations pay big money to make sure their votes get counted. And yet the power is still with the people.
Mhm.
The power is still with the people. And we have to remember that you are significant, that you are important. You are important.
Yeah.
And you're important, especially right now. And so it's really doing your homework. Don't take my word. Do the homework.
Yeah.
Check out your representatives. Do a report card. And I know we're going to be having report card time on here, because it's time to just if they pass or fail. We don't even have to give A, B, or C, but I would like to give, like, some people may deserve a C, but there's a lot of people that deserve an F, and they need to be fired, which means they need to be voted out of office.
That's right.
And so we are important. We got it. We got this.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Trisha.
Oh man, this has just been burning in my heart for a very long time. So I'm gonna say it, and I gotta run because I gotta jump on a 7:00 meeting. But we were walking. Okay, should I say this? I'm gonna say it anyway. So we were at this protest, not a little more recently, and there just happened to be a church out there, and they was, oh, hallelujah. And first of all, when I pulled up and I seen they were out there, I said, hey, did y'all know it was a rally over here? Oh no, we've been doing this, since the first October. All right. And now in my mind, I would have joined up with everybody else, but that's the first thing. All right. So we walked by and they really was calling out, like they was warring in the spirit, when get them demons out of y'all when we walked by. Like that was what they were doing. I could not believe it, right? So we walked down to our destination. So on the way back, this lovely man of God grabbed the microphone and he said, y'all just need Jesus. And he kept on, y'all need us. I grabbed my bullhorn. I said, we been had Jesus. I said, y'all waiting on Jesus, and Jesus is waiting on you. Okay? And so I said that to say this. We can run, we can shout, we can cry, we can slobber around the whole doggone church if we want to. But when we get up or when we leave that place, we've got to get busy. We sitting around praying, oh Lord, please come down, and we wondering why our prayers are bouncing off heaven. It's because we were given every tool that we needed. We don't need anything else. Everything that we need was given to us before we even came to this earth. Our only job is to activate and use every gift. So people be like, oh, you sing, you do this. You right. I will use everything that I have inside of me for justice. No stone unturned. And everybody else needs to do the same thing. I ain't nobody so special at all. Each and every one of us have a special gift. And you all said something else that was very important. We cry and fuss and complain so much about differences. Have you ever looked at a puzzle piece? A puzzle, every piece in there, every piece in that puzzle was different. But doggone it, put that thing together. You see the most beautiful picture you've ever seen in your life. So why can't we understand? Why can't we celebrate our differences? Ain't no why can't we? We've got to get to that. We've got to get to that. Celebrate our differences, come together as one, and then open our hearts to one another. See, we so busy head to head, but we got to get heart to heart. And I'm going to keep saying that, because until we get heart to heart, we're not going to care the way that we need to. This fight right here, we need to care.
Yes.
Because if we don't care, we'll walk away. We'll just say, forget it. I can't walk away. I can't forget it. I need a little break because I'm tired, but I can't walk away and I can't quit. And I challenge you to do the same. It's time for us to awaken. Heart to heart. That's how we win.
Amen.
That was good, Trisha.
Yes, Trisha.
Because, a little bit, we discuss this via Trisha sometimes. but religion has rocked some people to sleep. And you know, they want to pray, and pray is good, but prayer and faith requires action. Those are nouns. And we have to, what are you doing to activate? What are you doing? You know, okay, we understand that everybody can't go to the protest, but we have emails, we have phones, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have all these platforms that we can utilize to engage other people. We don't just have to sit at home and say, oh, well, that don't, you know, it's not going to change, because is a lot of our attitude. It's not going to change, but we know change can happen because of where we are today. We're not saying that there hasn't been any change, but we're a little bit behind, especially when I'm on a feed with somebody from the UK talking about justice here in America, and they are like totally disgusted, you know, about a wrongful incarceration. And they're disgusted with our justice system. So if people outside of our country are disgusted, then when are we going to get disgusted about it?
And, you know, and that is so important, because in studies, they show, in the studies, they will say this type of behavior is only indicative to United States. That's sad. That is sad, where a way of treating people is solely related to United States. And so, yeah, we can make these changes. We can make these changes, but we got to stop being afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking that, oh, I might draw something to me. I might attract something to me that's not going to be good if I get with these people. People are going to see me. I might not have as many followers. I'm not going to have as many followers. You might not. You might not. But you need to stand for something. You need to stand for something and stop being afraid. Is your God that small where God is not big enough to help you? You know, at some point we have to decide, are we going to walk in faith or are we going to walk in fear? But you can't do both at the same time. No, I'm not on this side because I want to fight. I'm walking this way because I am fearless in God, because I know my God, not because I'm afraid.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I know my dad used to tell me, my dad's a Baptist preacher, and he used to say, Janice, you can't worry and pray. You got to do the other one or the other. You canceling one out when you're doing the other. So if you're going to pray, you're going to pray. And then prayer opens you up to all kinds of answers. Worry just keeps you stuck in the problem. We have to move beyond the problem so we can get to the solution. But we can't get to the solution if we are just sitting back, sleeping, and it's only the few that's out here yelling. That's why Trishay's so tired. That's why Trishay's so tired. She can't get no sleep. She needs some of us to come on up and help us yell. You know, the more we come together, the more we join together, the more they cannot deny. They can't deny what we all see. If we're like saying, oh, I'm going to pray for you, because I got that a lot. You know, people was telling me I'm going to pray for me. I'm thinking we all need to pray, because this happened to my kid. It can happen to yours. You know, this happened to, you know, Charity husband. This can happen to your husband. You know, it's not nothing just, you know, just for me. It's for all of us. When I come on here on Fridays, it's not just for Gerard. Gerard was what got it started, but it's for everybody because it affects everybody. If it doesn't affect you personally, guess what? It's going to affect you financially because we're paying these taxes. We're paying these lawsuits. We're paying how much it costs to incarcerate somebody now, like 40,000 or something a year, 50,000. Wow, 50,000. That's college tuition.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's there's more people in prison than there is college students. So we're financing this mass incarceration, over incarceration, wrongful convictions. We are financing that. So you're looking at yourself. You're helping it happen when you don't say nothing. Abdul?
I think I want to add that what I've seen what elected officials doing is they don't respond so much to what happens at the ballot. Once they're in office, they seem to think that they're cloaked with some sort of protection or immunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the Black Lives Matter movement and the wrongful conviction movement and all these other social justice movements, that's what they're responding to. They respond because we're powerful in numbers. When you hit the ground running and protesting, they don't want that. And I'm talking about these elected officials, okay? So they respond to activism. They respond to advocacy. Sure, you got the right to vote, but we can't take this attitude that, oh, I'm going to go vote and it ends there. You've got to be engaged if you want change. Mm-hmm. The Quran teaches us that Allah will not change the condition of the people until they change themselves. What that means is basically what you all have been saying. You can pray, and prayer is good, and you do get rewards for your prayer. But God wants you to take some responsibility, right, for your own state and make a change for yourself. What we've been talking about this evening is about change and how important it is for all of us, individually and collectively, to be a part of change for good. So what I have been seeing is like I said, these politicians, they respond to activism, and that's why it is important to continue doing what we're doing.
Yes. That's your turn. You go back. Reverend Tia, go ahead.
I'm sorry, J Love. Did you say something to me?
Oh yeah, I was gonna let you go ahead. Did you have something to say?
Well, let Tia go first, because all of a sudden my volume has gotten really low. I don't know why.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tia, I know you're doing this, Tia. You want to hog the spotlight. No, I know you're doing it.
I didn't do it. I did not do it. I'm so, I'm blessed because of this right now moment and realizing the connection of all of us on the platform. Mm-hmm. And this is what it takes, as we go out in the community, that we look at each other and how are we connected? How do we connect? How are we one? Stop looking at differences. How are we the same? Because there's more things that are alike than different, because we're human. Mm-hmm. We're human. And as we get out here, and connect with people and show empathy, and then see how can we assist one another. And then take a look and see, what do I need to change about myself? What are my priorities? Where's my money going? Some people have their monies going to corporations that are enslaving people through the penal system, and you don't even realize it. Mm-hmm. And so soon, we're going to do some action things. I really want to have that list of corporations so we know, people can know what to buy, what not to buy. Right. And you have to be accountable. Today is now a time of accountability. Exactly. And you have to be accountable for yourself and for your family and for your community.
Right. Like buying those Sealy mattresses.
Right.
They make those mattresses. I know that.
Yeah.
Put those mattresses down. Don't get those Sealy mattresses. Yeah, we do have to be intentional with our spending.
Yeah.
I agree with that. We have these conversations getting close to the holidays, and when we say being
Hey.
intentional with our spending, do you want to support corporations that's feeding mass incarceration? Is that what we have to also not be part of the problem?
Right. Because it could be done. We could be done with this. Really, we could be done with this by how we spend.
Mm-hmm.
And one day we decided not to buy stuff. All of a sudden, there would be a wake up call.
Yeah.
And then they would be like, okay, we need to do things differently. Because right before our eyes, they took a law for lobbying and changed it in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wonder why things have declined for the people. Because the lobbyists get paid. The people don't.
Right.
They get paid at our expense. We do the paying because we get taxed and everything. It's at our expense. We got to wake up.
Right. Yes.
We have to invest more. And I think the African American community is one of the biggest consumers in this country, right? So we spend a lot. We don't invest. We need to invest more. And back in the day, remember during the birth of the civil rights movement, there were boycotts.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't want to boycott. But believe me, when you hit them in their pockets, and I'm talking about these big corporations and stuff, they respond. Again, they respond to activism. But boycott. We want convenience. We don't want to give up. We don't want to make sacrifices. We think that, we could, I cast my vote, so I did my civic duty. Change is going to come. It's not going to come at the ballot. It's not going to come at the ballot. It's going to come when you start demanding change. When you become engaged and become an advocate for change. Boycotting is so powerful. We don't do that anymore like we used to. But there's nothing wrong with bringing that back. But let's break ourselves away from the attitude that we have to spend our way out of oppression and out of poverty. It will never work. You can't spend your way out of this. But if you just stop and think, again, collectively, how we can invest in each other and if we can enfranchise ourselves, when you stop giving your money to your oppressor, to people who are doing business in your community, it will chase them away, and you will start to be, I guess, get more enfranchised. Well, I don't know if I'm saying it well, but we can't spend our way out of this. It hasn't worked, and it will never work. That's another thing they have taught us. They have trained our behavior, if you will. That I got this big ticket item. I know you want it. Come and get it, and we do it. But we have to invest more. We have to invest more than spend.
I agree. And as we become more intentional with ourselves, with our spending, with how people govern us, with how we'll demand more, we'll hold people accountable, because accountability is the title of all of this stuff we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Accountability, holding people accountable, holding the police accountable, holding our mayors accountable, holding our educational system accountable, our medical community accountable. All of these systems that oppress our communities, holding them accountable, but the accountability also starts with us. It's like a mirror. We do our part, we can reflect that back in action for others to do their part. And once people understand that you're not going to take it anymore, then change will happen. But as long as we're disconnected and trying to be separate and against each other, we can't organize to get together. So again, that's why we come here on Fridays to educate, to agitate, and to organize, to get us organized. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. Is there any last words you want to say, Mr. Abdul?
Let's keep the momentum going, and I love the vibe. I love the ideas that we're sharing back and forth. I'm going to continue my advocacy both in in the court and outside the courtroom, where I can possibly where I can, and I'll be in touch. And just stay tuned.
Right. Oh, we're gonna have you back because you you
I was a
part
little
of.
bit more. I was a little bit more behaved today because I'm in the Starbucks in our office building, and I don't want them to put me out of here. So I guess I said I'm going to try to behave today.
Okay. Attorney Hugo back. Do you have
Well,
something you want to leave?
first of all, brother, so good to see you again, man. So good to see you
Same
again.
here. Same here, Mr.
And
Mal.
and and I'm hoping everybody can hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
Once again, technology is confronting me, but I believe you can all hear me because I see some smiles and some nodding heads, and so that's good. That's good. Look here, I want to just close on with something, taking off what Reverend Tia said in terms of being fearless. And I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this. It's gotten to the point in my career, all right, where I consider it an honor to be criticized and cussed out by the prosecutors. I consider it an honor. I wear it as a badge of courage, of distinction. Told a judge that recently. I wear their derision as a cloak of honor. And so for me, I like that. And so I guess I'm to the point where going in the courtroom fighting for justice, every one of my clients, I want them to come out with a victory and be quoting the late Biggie Smalls. It was all a dream. And so for me, that's where I'm coming from. So I love y'all and thank you for being with me. I know y'all think I'm crazy, but it's all love. It's all love. So thank you and God bless y'all.
Yes. So before you say something, Reverend Tia, I just want to invite everybody to pick up this book by attorney David Robinson. He's going to be here next week, and we're going to really dig into you see a hero and I see a human being. Mm-hmm. He's going to talk about, he's very familiar with the policing. Attorney Hugo Mack. He's very familiar. He used to be a Detroit police officer, and he's been an attorney for over 33 years. He has won some big settlements in Detroit. He has worked on some very well-known cases of police chases and death by in the Wayne County detention center and all of that stuff. But we're gonna really dig into police behavior and hiding behind the badge next week. So I want you guys to join us because this book that I'm reading, it just motivated the conversation that we had today about everything that we're talking about. Reverend Tia.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait. Just wanted to say thank you, Jay. Thank you, Abdul and Attorney Mack, Trishay and Allie. I just love this platform. And Abdul Hakeem, you are now family. You are now family. I wanted to tell you that. And before I go, I just want to admonish the people and let people know that, we got to recognize that being innocent is not enough. That my own individual idea of me being innocent is not enough. And when I heard about J Love's story, I knew then that I didn't know what to do, but I knew I wanted to be there for her first. So how are you being and how are you being there when someone is has to go to trial, you know. And so this is what we have to do individually, and then collectively, knowing that there's a cause, then act according to information that you have learned. So I'm just so happy to be here, knowing that we do have power, and our time is now. And guess what? We were all born for this time.
Yes. And take these conversations that, first of all, everyone that comes on this platform is a resource for you guys. So, you know, connect with Mr. Abdul Hakeem, Reverend Tia Little John, Shay Duckworth, Allie Hughes, and of course, Attorney Hugo Mack. Connect with them. They can help you navigate whatever it is that you're going through. I know when I was going through, I didn't know what to do, but I knew I had to do something. So I started writing and emailing people. And then after a while, just like, hey, I got to start talking about it because, you know, it was too quiet for me. So that's what, you know, I just invite everyone to, you know, tap into us, tap into the guests, and then tap into each other. Have these conversations at home with your family. First, you got to start there. Have these conversations with your loved ones, and then branch it out, because you have to have a foundation in order to, you know, do this kind of work and stand up and be powerful out here. So thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next Friday, 6 o'clock. Same channel, same time. And Mr. Hakeem, if you want to join us, hey, let me know. You can come on with us at cool to with Attorney Robinson. All right, you guys. See you later. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bless.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe, everybody.